In this article, they say we hear Miss Peltz summoned a butler to the master bathroom after she discovered drops of urine on the toilet seat. She demanded the butler clean it up, which he did, although she then insisted that he clean the toilet seat again. And again. It was only after he'd cleaned the seat 4 times, one more for luck, she said.
For years, the Beckham family showed off this perfect image, flawless, united, untouchable, but that glossy picture has completely cracked in front of the entire world. Right in the middle of the storm sits Brooklyn Beckham, his wife Nicola Peltz, and her billionaire father, Nelson Peltz. A man who, according to insiders, never really believed Brooklyn belonged anywhere near his daughter. What started as quiet tension behind closed doors has exploded into a full-blown family war. Lawyers involved, shocking statements flying, phones going silent, and a divide that might never be fixed. The big question everyone's whispering about now is chilling. Is Brooklyn acting on his own, or has he been fully pulled into the Peltz power circle? Because behind those polished Instagram smiles and emotional posts, there's a serious power struggle playing out. Things truly hit the breaking point when Brooklyn blasted his own parents on social media in a long, emotional post, accusing David and Victoria Beckham of trying to control every narrative, of putting their brand above family, and of disrespecting Nicola again and again. He didn't sugarcoat a single word, no vague hints, no room to twist his meaning. Brooklyn made it loud and clear that he was standing by Nicola no matter what. What left everyone stunned wasn't just the accusations, it was the finality of it all. No olive branch, no hint of, "we'll fix this." Just a brutal, clean break that left fans and family in total disbelief. According to people close to the Beckhams, Brooklyn's fiery post didn't just come out of thin air. Something major went down just days before. Behind the scenes, David and Victoria reportedly sent a private, heartfelt letter to their son. Not through social media, not through reps, but straight to him. Why? Because by then, all real communication had totally collapsed. Apparently, Brooklyn had gone so far as to issue a cease and desist against his own parents, ordering them to stop mentioning him publicly and to only talk through lawyers. That single move shocked the Beckham family to their core. But what really shook them was the growing belief that Brooklyn wasn't acting alone. Whispers say Nicola and her powerful parents might have played a serious role in that legal step. Insiders described David and Victoria's letter as raw and emotional, not angry, not defensive, but full of worry. They just wanted a sign, any sign, that their son was okay. But instead of bringing peace, that letter seemed to push Brooklyn even further away. Only days later came the bombshell, Brooklyn's public takedown of his parents. He declared he was finally standing up for himself. He denied that Nicola had any control over him, saying that idea was completely wrong. In fact, Brooklyn claimed it was the opposite, that his parents had been pulling the strings for most of his life and he was finally breaking free. Here's where everything gets messy. Because while Brooklyn keeps saying he's finally free, his actions tell a completely different story. Every single move he's made since cutting ties with his parents seems to pull him deeper into the Peltz family circle. He lives in their world, hangs out in their social scene, and according to insiders, only speaks to his parents through middlemen now. That alone has people wondering, is this really about family issues, or is it a full-on battle for control between two powerful families? The one moment everyone keeps circling back to is the wedding, and more specifically, that dance. Brooklyn reportedly claimed his mother, Victoria, hijacked his first dance with Nicola, a moment that was supposed to be just theirs. He said it left him completely humiliated, and that Nicola ran out of the room in tears. Witnesses say the vibe in the room instantly changed. The whole celebration shifted from joy to tension in a split second. That dance became a symbol of everything that fell apart afterward. Boundaries crossed, emotions exposed, egos bruised. Even people trying to stay neutral admit it wasn't just about the music or timing, it was about control, perception, and power. And for Nicola, insiders say that was it, the final straw. After the wedding, she reportedly made her stance crystal clear. According to people close to the situation, she decided exactly where she stood, and it wasn't with the Beckhams anymore. Brooklyn was reportedly told he couldn't have both, his wife and his mother, in his life. It came down to a painful choice, and Brooklyn chose Nicola. Since that moment, things have only gone downhill. Invitations turned down, family events ignored, communication completely cut off. Insiders say Nicola has stayed firm, refusing to attend any gathering where David and Victoria might be present. Whether people see that as Nicola protecting her peace or pulling the strings depends on who you ask. But one thing's for sure, the fallout is real. Brooklyn Beckham now lives almost totally disconnected from the family that made his last name famous. While Nicola dominates the spotlight, the real powerhouse in the shadows barely says a word. Her father, Nelson Peltz. Nelson isn't just wealthy. He's a billionaire businessman known for his iron grip on control, precision, and influence. And according to several reports, he's never been truly impressed with Brooklyn. Sources claim Nelson has quietly brushed off Brooklyn's many ventures, from photography to cooking to his influencer lifestyle, seeing them as scattered, unfocused, and lacking real direction. No public shade, no outbursts, just silent disapproval that cuts deep. And when a man sitting on billions doesn't believe in you, that's a serious problem, especially when he's the one running the family empire Brooklyn now lives under. To make things even more complicated, there's one cold, legal detail that raises eyebrows. Before the wedding, a strict prenuptial agreement was signed. It reportedly locked down the Peltz fortune completely, meaning if the marriage ever falls apart, Brooklyn walks away with nothing. That fact alone has people questioning what's really keeping him in the Peltz world: love, loyalty, or pressure. If the marriage ever fell apart, Brooklyn wouldn't walk away with the Peltz fortune, only with whatever the couple had built together. For the Beckhams, that prenup wasn't alarming because of money. It was the dependency it created that scared them. If Brooklyn's marriage ever collapsed after cutting ties with his family, he wouldn't just lose his wife, he'd lose everything. His entire safety net gone in an instant. That thought has reportedly haunted David and Victoria ever since. They fear their son has put his entire future in someone else's hands, and that there's nothing they can do about it. Still, people close to the Beckhams say their door is wide open. David and Victoria would welcome Brooklyn back in a heartbeat. No conditions, no forced apologies, just pure love waiting. But Brooklyn's made his stance crystal clear. No regrets. He believes he spoke the truth and did what he had to do. He feels justified in walking away, convinced this was the only way to take control of his life. Meanwhile, his siblings are keeping it moving, chasing their goals, staying close to their parents, keeping the Beckham legacy alive, just without Brooklyn in the picture. And while Brooklyn insists he's finally free, some people who knew him before all the fame and drama are starting to talk, and what they're saying isn't exactly flattering for anyone. The most surprising voice to step into the feud didn't come from Hollywood or high society. It came from football. Brooklyn's former youth coach from his QPR days spoke up with sympathy for him, but not the way anyone expected. He didn't take sides. Instead, his words added an entirely new layer to the story, one that left fans questioning everything. The coach didn't rush to defend David and Victoria, but he didn't cheer for Brooklyn's choices either. Instead, he painted a picture of a childhood shaped by anxiety, constant pressure, and a strange kind of distance that most people can't even imagine. He spoke about a teenage Brooklyn surrounded by full-time security guards at just 14 years old, a kid living under a microscope where fame and money didn't buy peace or happiness. He mentioned moments that felt off, even for someone used to coaching kids of celebrities, scenes that hinted at deep emotional strain. He didn't point fingers, but his meaning came through loud and clear.
Not quite sure what Brooklyn has accomplished on his own in his life. However, he is determined to destroy the reputation of his mother for some reason. So we're going to find out more details, I'm sure, because he has recently spoken out.
Brooklyn never really had a normal childhood. That made him vulnerable. Vulnerable to pressure, to influence, to thinking that cutting off everything familiar was the only way to breathe again. And this is where the story gets uncomfortable. Because when you strip away the drama, one truth stands out. Nicola didn't step into Brooklyn's world. He stepped into hers. She stayed surrounded by her family, protected by her parents' wealth and power, and totally independent financially. Meanwhile, Brooklyn walked away from the Beckham dynasty, leaving behind his parents, his structure, his entire safety net, and tied his whole emotional life to just one family, the Peltz family. That imbalance is what's making people nervous, not because Nicola's manipulative or because Brooklyn's weak, but because isolation can be dangerous. When one person or one family becomes your only emotional anchor, their influence can quietly become total, even if no one's being openly controlling. And through all the noise, Nelson Peltz, the billionaire at the center of it all, has kept completely silent. No interviews, no statements, no public reaction, just quiet power watching from the background, which in this story might be the loudest message of all. No denials, no explanations, no defense for his son-in-law, just pure silence. And when it comes to someone as sharp and calculated as Nelson Peltz, silence is never accidental. People who've worked around him describe Nelson as direct, disciplined, and totally unimpressed by fame or image. Reports say he sees Brooklyn as scattered, a young man still trying to figure out who he is, leaning on his last name more than on real direction. That opinion might not be completely fair, but when power and reputation are in play, perception is everything. Insiders claim Nelson's doubts have only grown stronger as Brooklyn's feud with his parents has dragged on, because in high society circles, cutting off your family doesn't scream independence. It screams instability, and that kind of reputation can be deadly in elite social and business networks. Then there's Brooklyn's career, or, depending on who you ask, his search for one. From photography to cooking to lifestyle branding, every new venture has drawn endless attention, and reportedly, quiet skepticism from inside the Peltz household. David Beckham built an empire through non-stop discipline and focus, but Brooklyn's path has felt more like trial and error, experimental, inconsistent, and still without solid footing. That clash between the Beckhams and the Peltzes runs deeper than money. It's about values. One side prizes endurance and legacy, while the other side measures everything by results and dominance. So, when those worlds collided through Brooklyn and Nicola, the tension was bound to explode. Insiders whisper that Nelson Peltz has never been convinced Brooklyn adds real value, not financially, not strategically, not symbolically. And according to people close to David and Victoria, the shift in their son didn't happen all at once. It crept in slowly. They say it started the moment Brooklyn began deferring every decision, letting others speak for him, and bringing lawyers into what used to be private family talks. Those close to David and Victoria swear their son didn't always talk like this. He didn't always paint them as villains or act like he was trapped under their control. But while Brooklyn completely rejects that idea, the timing of everything is impossible to ignore. The deeper he fell into his marriage, the further he drifted from the family that raised him. And one of the clearest signs of how deep this rift runs is who hasn't joined the fight. His siblings. They still post with their parents, show up for family moments, and support each other openly. They've built their own lives without cutting anyone off. That contrast has people asking the question everyone's afraid to voice. If the Beckham home was truly as controlling as Brooklyn says, then why did only one child walk away? Sure, Brooklyn's earned applause online for standing up for himself, but insiders whisper that behind closed doors, the emotional price has been huge. No more casual phone calls, no surprise visits, no warmth. Every message now goes through layers of people, every word weighed carefully. When family communication gets that filtered, rebuilding isn't just difficult, it's almost impossible. Most celebrity family feuds follow a predictable path. Shocking fallout, silence, and then a reunion moment that melts hearts. But not this one. This feud feels different because it's not just about hurt feelings. It's about structure, power, and two massive family empires clashing over influence. On one side, the Beckhams and their legacy of discipline and brand control. On the other, the Peltzes with their dominance and wealth-driven world. And stuck right in the middle is Brooklyn, the one son caught between two value systems, two dynasties, and one massive question that still hangs heavy over it all. Can he ever really have both worlds again? So here's the question that lingers like a storm cloud. What happens if Brooklyn ever changes his mind? Walking away feels powerful when you believe you're right, but coming back? That takes real humility and forgiveness from both sides. Sources say David and Victoria would welcome him back in a heartbeat. No drama, no conditions, just love. But that same warmth might not extend to everyone else in the picture. If Brooklyn suddenly wanted to reconnect, would Nicola stand by that decision? Would Nelson Peltz even allow it? Or has the line already been crossed too far to ever return? Right now, it's like two worlds existing side by side, and the Beckhams still moving forward as a tight family unit, and Brooklyn living his new reality, apart and unbothered on the surface, but shadowed by what he left behind. Brooklyn claims he's got no regrets, while David and Victoria quietly say they'll keep waiting, however long it takes. And through it all, Nicola stays unshaken, always there, always central, the one constant in Brooklyn's new life. Whether she's fiercely protecting her marriage or subtly steering the narrative depends on who you ask. But either way, she's right in the middle of it all. One truth can't be denied: Brooklyn Beckham's world has changed forever, and there might never be a clean way back. If you've been following this wild family saga, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment, because this story is far from over, and you won't want to miss what happens next.